The Young Women's Christian Association of the Philippines is a private, non-stock, non-profit, non-sectarian, service-oriented, and charitable organization which was founded in 1948.
YWCA aims to develop the physical, social, intellectual, moral, and spiritual well-being of women and girls in accordance with the Christian ideals for which the movement is deeply rooted. The goal of the YWCA are to bring about quality of life, to develop women as change leaders and members in body, mind, and spirit, to engage in selfless Christian service, and to empower women and girls in dynamic partnership with men and service groups toward total transformation. The Young Women's Christian Association is founded in 1855 by Emma Roberts and Lady Mary Jane Kinnear. These two agreed to consolidate their efforts for a common cause during the Crimean War. In the Philippines, a similar interest group, the Time Investment Club, founded in 1921 under the leadership of Mrs. Felicissima Marcos Barca, became the nucleus of the YWCA movement in the country. The first YWCA was officially organized in October 1926, which is the YWCA of Manila. Its first honorary president was Mrs. Aurora A. Quezon. This was followed by the organization of YWCAs of Baguio and San Pablo, thus the need to have a national organization. Dr. Josefa Hara Martinez was the first chairperson of the Provisional Board who worked on the establishment of the YWCA of the Philippines. And on February 14, 1948, the YWCA of the Philippines was formally created with Dr. Flora Ilagan as the first national president. The YWCA of the Philippines was admitted as a corresponding member of the World YWCA during the World Council meeting in Hangzhou, China in 1948 and was taken in as an active member at the World Council meeting in Beirut, Lebanon in 1951. It is linked with other national YWCA in about 100 countries around the world through the World YWCA, whose headquarters is in Geneva, Switzerland. The YWCA is at work in the Philippines through groups such as YBODs, who is elementary school girls, Y Teens organized in secondary school, Student Y organized in colleges and universities, Young Professional and the Adult Ys. There is also the Community Youth Club, whose members either be in school or out of school. The YWCA of the Philippines has over 20 local associations all over the country and serves over 50,000 people through these local associations. Local Association from Northern Luzon, Local Association from Southern Luzon, Local Association from Visayas Region, and Local Association from Mindanao. YWCA leadership headed by Mrs. Lilia A. Farinas, National President, Ms. Marla May A. Baez, National Youth Coordinating or NYCC President, and Mrs. Nerissa B. Liena, National Executive Director. YWCA of the Philippines legal mandate. Affiliated with World YWCA. Programs and services are accredited by the Department of Social and Welfare and Development. We partner with other organizations like YMCA, GSP, NCWP, Renewable Energy Coalition, PhilCADSA, FAWA Philippines. Our local association partner with DepEd, CSWDO, and other entities. YWCA pioneered in health and recreation, introduction of physical education in the school curriculum, adult education, community center, camping for girls, youth work, residence, and ecumenical movement. Here are the YWCA's strategic actions and accomplishments.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Jessica Deboton, and I will be your host this afternoon. And the YWCA of the Philippines, together with the National Youth Coordinating Council, are happy to welcome you all to Y Talk webinar series, Let's Get Physical Wires, with today's topic, Stand Up, Prolonged Sitting is the New Smoking. Just to give everyone a little background, the Y Talk webinar series is a coinciding activity in the observance of World YWCA Week Without Violence. The World YWCA Week Without Violence. This is an annual global campaign to end the scourge of violence against women, young women, and girls. So this is throughout the week activities focusing on raising awareness, promoting attitude change, and enabling individuals and organizations to begin positive action towards ending violence in their community. Every year during the third week of October, YWCA from all over the world promote and encourage Week Without Violence. This is a week-long series of community event promoting diverse approaches to creating a world free of violence. At the global YWCA movement, we believe that this include enhancing women's voices in decision making, leadership, and peace building, promoting women's economic empowerment, ending violence against women, young women, and girls, and finding new ways for young women to connect, mobilize, and inspire each other so they can take collective action. In YWCA, we believe that all women, young women, and girls should have the right to be safe and live free from fear and violence in all its forms, and that addressing violence against women, young women, and girls must be priority for all. We strive to mobilize women's transformative leadership to end violence against women, young women, and girls once and for all through local, national, regional, and international advocacy efforts, education program, resilience work, and support services. And now, before we start, let me remind a few house rules in order for all of us to have a pleasant experience for the duration of the forum. First, please set your microphones on mute. Please turn off your cameras. And please be advised that this session is being recorded for documentation purposes. And if you have any questions, you may use the chat feature so that we can acknowledge you. And now to start, let us listen to a doxology offered by Miss Nina Cristaharo, Young Women National Council member and a three-time defending champion, Tawag ng Tanghalan sa Showtime, to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I was grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. The Lord has promised good to me. His word my hope secures. He will my shield and portions be, as long as life endures. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, with no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Right. And to formally start the program, we are pleased to have Miss Marla May Baez, President of the National Youth Coordinating Council, to deliver the welcome remarks.
Alongside with the Y Talk series webinar, Malusog na Mata sa Pandemya, the YWCA of the Philippines is also hosting this webinar entitled Stand Up, Prolonged Sitting is the New Smoking, under its Let's Get Physical Y Talk webinar series. After the national government and various health authorities advised the public to strictly stay at home during the onset of the COVID-19 outbreak, we were all forced to shift our day-to-day activities. Students started online learning and employees started working from home. However, such activities resulted to long periods of inactivity. How so, you may ask? Students were required to sit long periods of time during online classes, and employees are also required to sit long periods of time during meetings and working hours. Not only that, but our recreational activities also shifted. What was once us going around places to entertain ourselves have now shifted to us sitting in front of our electronic gadgets in an unhealthy sitting or lying position. Having said that, it is very important to maintain regular physical activity in a safe home environment for healthy living during the pandemic crisis, which we will all learn today. Again, good afternoon and welcome everyone.
Thank you so much, Miss Marla, for the warm greetings. And now, I am pleased to introduce to you the National President, Mrs. Lilia Parinas, for her message in observance of the Week Without Violence.
A beautiful and blessed day to everyone. What has happened this year? Every year in the third week of October, YWCAs around the world participate in the Week Without Violence campaign. YWCA observe its common vision, legacy, and future as part of this dynamic movement that advances the human rights and leadership of women, young women, and girls. This year, in the shadow of COVID-19, activities will be majorly virtual as YWCA take a moment to name the YWCA as an invaluable global movement of leaders and their contributions towards ensuring safety of women during this global pandemic. We use the YWCA Virtual Safe Spaces tool for women's rights leaders to speak of their work and their realities in the current context. This is yet another adaptation of the YWCA Safe Spaces model that has been at the heart of our work since the 19th century. Evidence from previous health crises indicates that violence against women and girls is likely to be a lasting exacerbated impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. For instance, women and girls endure multiple forms of violence including trafficking, child marriage, intimate partner violence, sexual exploitation, and abuse. All forms of violence against women, young women, and girls are a violation of human rights and have high social and economic costs. World YWCA has responded to the crisis and lockdown protocols by adapting our approaches to better suit this reality. One key strategy is online engagement and consultation across the women's movement. In the series of consultations with the YWCA members, friends, and supporters, it was evident that creating awareness and advocating on COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on gender-based violence is the need of the hour in order to progress towards elimination of violence against women, young women, and girls in order to ensure the impact is as minimal as possible. The world is in the middle of a pandemic that has magnified and exposed the glaring inequalities that the human rights sector has been amplifying for a long time. The gendered impact of the pandemic have invoked analysis on women's rights and how it manifests during this period. African women, for instance, are experiencing two pandemics with Kenya, recording 3,954 schoolgirls becoming pregnant during the 6-month lockdown period. Women and girls are bearing the brunt of the pandemic and are taking extra labor in the form of unpaid care work as they are the default caregivers, leaving them at a greater risk of sexual violence, gender-based violence, and at a greater mental health risk. The World Health Organization has called for the need to make commitments to scale up investments in mental health as well as in the wake of the pandemic and begin addressing the historic neglect of mental health. YWCAs are at the front front of this battle. The YWCA of the Philippines, true to its trust of providing reliable information, is holding several online activities that touches on the spiritual, mental, and physical welfare of women and girls. Last month, we conducted the Zoom Bible class and the mental health awareness, and today we are focusing on gender-based violence and issues of women's health, which is the concern of many women working from home and girls and young women with their online classes and use of virtual platform to go by with the new normal. We trust that these online forums provide you with awareness and practical application in your life. Let us all be together to say no to all forms of violence, be it done to women. Let us say no to all forms of violence committed to all God's creation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Leia, for your message. And now we would like to acknowledge the presence of our guests and participants from the National Council. Again, Miss Leia, thank you so much for your message. And then I can see from the council officers, we have here Miss Brett Gracela, the YWCA treasurer. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us this afternoon. We also have youth members. We have here Miss Joelyn Cadavos from Y Makati. Right. So thank you. And some of our members are currently in our Facebook Live. So again, thank you. And from our committee, we have been Miss Remy Bicomong, the chairperson of Global and Local Affairs Committee. Thank you, Miss Remy. And also her members, we have Miss Marcia Bicomong and Miss Rachel de la Cruz. Also, we have here Beth Diaz, also the president of YWCA Makati. Again, thank you for joining us this afternoon. And also to acknowledge the organization for this afternoon, we have here Medical Center of Manila or ManilaMed. We also have the PhilHealth Region 6. Thank you. And the PASWI, Marinduque State College, the Optometrists Association of the Philippines, DepEd QC, Biliran, San Jose del Monte, Bulacan, Dagupan City, DepEd Manila, DepEd Pangasinan, and DepEd Tabaco City, Albay. Thank you. We also have University of the Philippines, Manila. Thank you for the participation. The Paris Miki Philippines, Centro Escolar University, Vision Rehabilitation and Development Center, DSW Dilipa, Ernesto Rondo High School QC, Mariano Marcos Memorial Hospital and Medical Center, Batac, Ilocos Norte, DBM NCR. We also have participants from Essential Medical Group, and we have DRRMO Makati City. Also, we have DOH Mega, DATRC, from King's College of the Philippines from Baguio. Thank you. Tanay Ladies Association from Tanay Rizal. As mentioned, we also have YWCA of Quezon City, and we have from San Pablo, YWCA San Pablo, and we have from YWCA Rojas, and we also have DepEd Legazpi. Also, we have participants from Still Waters Dep Camp Academy, Calapan, from PAGCOR. Thank you for the participation po. From Zamboanga Chongwa High School, Jose Reyes Memorial Medical Center from Bukidnon State University, LGU the NCWP from Ilocos Training and Regional Medical Center. We also have Cardinal Santos Memorial Medical Center, and from SI San Juan. We also have Patamaba Wise, and we have AV Gedang Foundation Incorporated. Again, thank you so much for your participation this afternoon. And now, um, May we please call on Mrs. Remedios Obicomo, the chairperson of Global and Local Affairs Committee, to properly introduce our today's speaker.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before I begin, I just want to mention that you've been seeing my face as the introducer of the many speakers we have had for this week. I'm not going to apologize for that because being chairman of the Global and Local Affairs Committee, you're liable to see my name anywhere in the program as long as I'm here, and that's going to be until December. Don't worry, next year you will have a different introducer for all the global and local affairs of the national YWCA. Having said that, I just want to say that we are honored to introduce to you this afternoon a most distinguished doctor in the person of Betty Dy-Mancao, who is with the Department of Rehabilitation Medicine, UP Philippine General Hospital, and also the chairman of the Department of Rehabilitation Medicine in the Medical Center Manila from 2000 to the present. She is consultant in the Early Childhood Care and Development Council of many organizations and consultant to UNDP from 2018 to the present, consultant to the UNICEF from 2015 to 2018, helping in the development of a referral system for children with disabilities. Being a professor at the University of Philippines College of Medicine, he teaches medical students, clinical nurses, and medical interns about rehabilitation medicine. And this is something that I think has brought her here and abroad with many guests from especially Southeast Asia. Dr. Macau is chair of the Department of Rehabilitation Medicine at the UP Philippine General Hospital up to 2000. She is the chair of the Department of Rehabilitation Medicine, Hospital of Manila up to 2005. She is also the chair of the Department of Rehabilitation Medicine at Paranaque Medical Center from 1987 to the present. You can imagine how long that is. Our distinguished speaker for this afternoon was a visiting faculty in the University of Malaysia from 2001, 2003, 2006, and 2007. She is consultant and practicing psychiatrist at the Paranaque Doctors Hospital. She is now the head of a community-based rehabilitation program of the Department of Rehabilitation Medicine, UPPGH, actually from 1991 to 2015. She is also a consultant of the Department of Health on community-based rehabilitation from 1990 to 2008. She has done extensive work even as a consultant of the World Health Organization in Mongolia, and that is 1998. The coordinator of the Office of Anti-Sexual Harassment, Dr. Mancao, schedules, receives all sexual harassment cases in that country. She is consultant in charge of the special education program of the Department of Rehabilitation Medicine, UPPGH, up to 2015. She developed the SPED program of the department, and she coordinates, even now, all the department education concerning curriculum of the early intervention and transition levels of SPED. Dr. Macau is a distinguished member of the Rotary Club of Manila Binondo Prime. She is a member up to the present. Way back 2004-2005, she was the Rotary Club of Manila San Miguel District President. To top all the distinguished work that she has done in her field, Dr. Mancao received the Leadership Award of UERMFC in this year, 2020. She was also the Pearl Awardee of the Philippine Academy of Rehabilitation Medicine in 2004. Of course, the crowning glory of all that is the Lifetime Achievement Award that she received from the Department of Rehabilitation Medicine, UPPH, plus very many other appreciation awards that I think is something that everybody who has met her know already. Dr. Mancao is also author of the System of Prevention, Early Identification, Early Intervention, and Referral for Children with Disabilities. He is the author of 2 modules on autism and intellectual disability and ADHD. She is co-author of the Abstract of Philippine Health Laws and co-author of the Philippine Disability Survey. He is author of the Psychiatric Practice in the Philippines and author of the Country Report on Community-Based Rehabilitation in the Philippines, which she presented in Japan in 2000. He also reported as author the Country Report on Community-Based Rehab in the Philippines and presented it in India in 1999. Our distinguished speaker this afternoon is a lecturer, and that is part of her advocacy, lecturer in the Department of Education in various topics in children with disabilities, identification, assessment, care, and referral. She lectures on various topics of rehabilitation medicine, and this includes low back pain, sex in LDT, arthritis, osteoporosis, stroke, spinal cord, cerebral palsy, pain management, ageism, sports medicine, pediatric topics, locally and internationally. No wonder we picked the most eligible and most outstanding rehabilitation doctor for our speaker this afternoon. As far as the doctor is concerned, she has been organizing also a lot of conventions and seminars on stroke, cerebral palsy, osteoarthritis, and others. She is also the organizer of the second ASEAN Rehabilitation Board of Rehabilitation Medicine up to 2002. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to present to you the guest speaker of our webinar this afternoon, Dr. Betty Dy-Mancao.
Muted na siya. Okay, thank you, Ma'am Remy. Saan yung slide ko? Can we start already? Okay, sorry. Well, the topic for this afternoon, actually, I'm supposed to have this at home, but I'm afraid of the internet connection that I would have. So I actually came to the office of the YWCA just to be sure that you will be able to get a very good view and you can hear me well. I hope you can hear me well, okay? So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is my disclosure. I'm consultant at the Medical Center, Manila, Rehabilitation Medicine. Well, as of this time, COVID is the #1 topic in the whole world, not only the Philippines. And I'm not going to talk about COVID because I'm sure you have overflowing knowledge already of this. In fact, it's very hard for us already to differentiate what is the truth and what is false, myth or facts. So it's up to you actually to do that. But what COVID-19 has done to our lives right now is the main problem. It really created havoc. The so-called new normal is very bad. So will not be talking about COVID, but I will be talking about this topic, stand up, because prolonged sitting is the new smoking. But before I go into that, can I ask you a question? Use your chat, because we're going to take note of that. I'll give you enough time to write it up so we can gather. With the COVID pandemic at this moment in time, how does it affect you, your friends, your family, or your work for that matter? Can you tell me what are the effects? Anything under the heat of the sun before I go into the main topic of my talk for this afternoon. I just want to find out how it has affected you. I'll give you time to do the e-chats. Tingnan ko natin. Sige, saan natin makikita siya? Meron bang nag-ano? I can't go to the community to work. I felt sad because I can't go out. Okay, there's uncertainty. What else? No more gatherings. Okay. Now, what is the new norm? That's the next question I would like to ask you. What is the new norm? Do you know? Because I'm sure you know what the cause of COVID is, but what is the new norm at present? Aha, very good. A lot of comments, yes. Change in lifestyle, really, that's true. Staying the computer, yeah. One of my patients, Dr. Shasoko, is there asking a question because in front of the computer, her hands are already painful. Sitting down, wala pang back pain, Rory? Cautious, okay? Everything is done online. Okay, so as you can see, the new norm includes wearing of masks, right? What does it feel to be wearing masks at the time? What are the common complaints or your complaints about wearing mask? Look at me. I'm not wearing a mask right now, right? But if I wear a mask, which I am supposed to, but since I'm all alone, actually very far from each other, what's the effect? You cannot see my face. You cannot see my expression. Kaya it's depressing, right? Yung beauty mo hindi makikita ng ibang tao when you talk. Now you can just imagine, like me, a doctor, a frontliner, us wearing this. Complete regala with all the PPEs, with the mask, with the face shield, with the gloves. It's so hot, it's so uncomfortable. So that is the new norm, but you have to follow because that is what is expected of us. So the discomfort is already there, right? Okay. Aside from that, social distancing. You have to be 2 meters away from each other. Just like, for example, in that picture, in this picture, you see, even husband and wife have to use an extensor stick to get something from each other. As you said, wala na masyadong socializing. Nawawala na. In other words, these things are of the past. But this picture would tell you that, in COVID-19, it's even better to be in an open air rather than an enclosed room, because they say that the virus actually will not stay longer when the air is changing, just like an open air. So social distancing actually limits your activities, as you said in your chat, okay? These things will not be there anymore. See how the classmates have been talking about each other, close to each other, but now they have their own cell phones to communicate with each other with the masks pa, okay? In the offices, you cannot sit down together anymore. Even while eating, you can see it has to be like this. You have to wear a mask when you want to talk. And when you eat, you have to keep silent, or else you cannot eat at all. And yes, you said home office, working at home. And you said, because you're working at home, you're always in the face of your computer, sitting down for long periods of time. Before, we thought that when we went into the office, wow, hassle. You have to wake up early in the morning, you have to change, you have to put on your makeup and everything. You leave home. How nice it is to be working at home, right? Now that you're given the chance to do what you wish working at home, how does it feel? Living the dream? That is one question that I would like to ask you. Are you living your dream now? Now that you're happy, you can wake up at any time. But look at these following pictures, okay? When you are working at home, you are in front of your computer, sitting down for long periods of time, slouching, maybe doing two things at the same time, taking care of your kids at the same time. Your focus may not be in your work at all. Or you might be eating and drinking because nobody can see you. These things you cannot do when you are in the office, right? Working at home means sleeping. See, at 9 o'clock you wake up, you start working, but you're sleep already after 12 minutes. So you have to sleep. And look at the position that you have. Because the sofa is just right there, you can just flop yourself up there and sleep. So take note of the positions that you have when you work at home, okay? When I say home office, this is what my boss is saying. This is what my client is imagining me to do. These are what my friends are thinking. And this is how my colleagues think I'm doing. Of course, my family would expect this, but actually this is what I am doing. See, they're very familiar, right? You don't have to dress up. As you wake up, you open your computer, put your computer laptop there in front of you and do some work. Dream come true, no? But what are the effects of prolonged sitting? Can you tell me? Okay, i-chat naman tayo. Are there? What do you feel when you are sitting in front of your computer for so long a time? I-chat natin. Masakit sa balakang, back pain, obesity, what else? Back pain. Cannot breathe. Because of the mask, you cannot breathe. Yeah. Okay. Eye strain, masakit sa likod at sa puwet, neck and shoulder pain. Okay. So those are some of the things. So let me tell you some of the other things that might, yes, okay. So you see, one effect of wait ha, technical, sandali lang. Yan. One effect are pains, and the most common is back pain. Actually, from the neck down to the lower back, even up to the buttocks, up to your legs. You see? In my practice, a lot of call center people, even before the COVID time, already are complaining of back pain from the neck down to the lower back. But the Penn study was saying that sitting for 4 hours can actually cause compression of your discs, which is another topic actually to discuss about low back pain. Let me do that later, some other time for you, okay? But pains are very common. Number one effect of prolonged sitting. Look at the position of this person, very familiar. This is what you usually do. Look, hump back, eyes closed, very close to that, okay? And so, eye strain. Somebody mentioned eye strain because you're always looking at the computer. And it can cause headache, another pain. Sometimes it can cause your blood pressure to rise, or sometimes you even want to vomit because of the pain. The number two effect is weakness of the muscles. Why is it weak? Because if you do not move, your muscle fibers can break down, and that causes muscle atrophy. When you say atrophy, it means that your muscles become thinner. So if the muscles become thinner, there's no more strength. The strength is very poor, and it can cause poor circulation. Let me discuss that later. And it has poor posture. Because of sitting down, remember the humping of the back? You might develop what we call kyphosis or kuba. Because you sit down slouching, you might develop scoliosis because of that muscle strain. I'm just showing you a picture of the severe pictures, but you can have a smaller one. The worst thing is if you have both scoliosis and kyphosis, which you call kyphoscoliosis. You have the scoliosis here, and you have the humping of the back. That causes actually imbalance of the muscles of your back, and that can cause back pain as well, okay? Now, when you talk about muscles and bone, that is musculoskeletal, you see, because of sitting down for long periods, you have decreased mobility. Because of the decreased mobility, you would have joint stiffness and decrease in muscle strength. All these things together actually can cause pain. As we said, the first effect of prolonged sitting. And it can cause anxiety and depression because you do not know. I'm not doing anything, but why is it that my joints are painful or your muscles are in cramps? And it can be a vicious cycle. Actually, anxiety and fear is another big effect of prolonged sitting. We said that decreased mobility can also cause poor circulation. And poor circulation can cause fluid accumulation in your feet. That's why you will have edema. We call it edema or swelling of the feet. And if that happens, since you're so used to wearing your slippers at home, working in the at home, no need to wear shoes. Once you wear your shoes, it does not fit anymore. So you will feel frustrated. Do I have to buy a new shoes? Only to find out that the edema is only temporary, but once you move, it will disappear. The next problem with poor circulation is actually the making of varicose veins in your legs and your feet. We thought before that varicose veins was only secondary to prolonged standing. True, it can cause varicose vein formation, but prolonged sitting also can cause varicose vein formation because when you sit down, your knees are flexed and it can interrupt the circulation from the feet going up to your heart, okay? Yes, somebody mentioned weight gain. Why is there obesity and weight gain when you are working at home after prolonged sitting? One of the reasons actually is that food is always available. There's no boss who would tell you, no eating in the office. The refrigerator is just nearby. You can just open your ref, get something to drink and something to eat. The microwave is available. You can heat it up and eat. But actually, prolonged sitting slows metabolism. And it suppresses lipase, which is an enzyme, very important actually, that would remove the fat from your body to be used or to be placed in the muscles, which can be used later on when you do contraction or physical activity, so that it can increase fat storage. And I hope that after this COVID, which will be, 2021, late 2021 or early 2022, you will not be like this. Because if you will be like that, then you will be sitting for the rest of your life. You can hardly walk with that kind of body, okay? The fourth effect actually is it's a slowing down of the brain function. We think that if we are there in front of the computer, our brain is working too much, so that there will be no downgrading or dying down of the brain function. But prolonged sitting, which we call immobilization actually, can cause lesser pumping action of your heart. And since there is low pumping action, there is less oxygen that goes to your brain. And your brain needs a lot of oxygen for your neurons to function. And if that happens, then there is degradation of your brain function. Also, another effect is that there is lesser release of some brain and mood enhancing chemicals, which is coming from the brain. And it can also decrease your brain function. So that actually in Harvard, a study in Harvard University, they said that excessive sitting is associated with dementia. So you can just imagine, you can't even remember what you want to do. In the first place, I want to sit down and write down, maybe write a letter to a friend or what, but I forgot what I'm supposed to do. Or when you go up, you don't know what to do. Why are you bringing that? And you are supposed to open only your door. Okay, so that is dementia. The fifth effect is actually the increased risk of the cardiovascular diseases. Because it increases your cholesterol level, it can cause high blood pressure, and high blood pressure can cause stroke or even myocardial infarction. Myocardial infarction usually is that one of the blood vessels in your heart can be blocked by your cholesterol or fatty acids. Okay. Some studies have shown that spending 10 hours a week, not a day, 10 hours a week, just riding your car will increase your risks for dying because of cardiovascular like stroke and hypertension with 82%. And if you spend 23 hours a week on your television, sitting down, looking at the television, it increases your risk for dying for cardiovascular diseases by 64%. Can you imagine? Just by looking at the television, sitting down for 23 hours a week. How many hours do you spend usually a day in the television? Teleserye lang, sunod-sunod na yun, wala na, no? Tapos na yung, 10 hours, 6 hours siguro, the least, on the television. The sixth effect of prolonged sitting is actually increasing your diabetes risk. Because sitting down lessens the sensitivity of your body to insulin, which is very important for actually the degradation of that glucose. Kung hindi sensitive ang body mo sa insulin, then the glucose will build up in your bloodstream. That is why you will be called diabetic. And one of the journals of diabetes, the Diabetologia, said that those who sit for more than 8 hours a day, actually, call center, 12 hours sila usually, no? Had 112% increased risk for diabetes mellitus. That is why in the Philippines, I think there is already an increase in people who are diabetic because of our sedentary life. Not because of, aside from the food that we eat actually, it is because of our lifestyle, which is always sitting down. We don't exercise so much. This is actually a revelation to me. When I read this, it says that it can increase also your cancer risk. A study in Germany, they did a meta-analysis and they concluded that those who sat for long periods each day has a 24% higher risk to develop colon cancer, and 32% can develop endometrial, that is in the uterus, uterine cancer. Can you imagine that cancer can even be caused by sitting down or increases your risk to develop cancer? For female, it's uterine cancer. For males, probably it's colon cancer. And the eighth effect, I think, which I think is what is happening now. As you said, you are stopped from going socializing, you cannot go out, you cannot go shopping, you cannot see a movie, you cannot even see your friends, anxiety and depression. Aside from less socialization, of course, lesser income. Kasi most of them are jobless now actually. They have been cut off from their job. And there's more stress. We thought that staying at home It's not stressful, but actually, if you ask the housewives, it's more stressful. It's even better to be in the office working than staying at home for what? 12 hours straight. Okay, and of course, there is boredom. You know, immobilization, like sitting down for long periods, can cause a lot of sleeplessness, fatigue, and helplessness. You know why? Because when you're sitting down, you're much rested. So that during nighttime, you can't sleep anymore. Then you will wonder, why is it that I did not do anything, but I'm very tired? You feel fatigued. That is because your muscles have not been working. And these things would actually cause fear. You will be afraid. Why is this happening to me? Am I developing something like a disease? Something like what? Cancer? Probably. Why can't I sleep? Am I already depressed so much? And this fear can actually cause depression. And this depression will lead to what? Withdrawal. The more you don't want to go out because you are depressed, you know, a person who's depressed does not look good. You don't even want to make yourself up. That's why I always tell myself when I have a webinar, I always make up. Tanong nila sa akin, bakit ka nagpapaganda? Wala namang makakakita sa'yo kung hindi ka mag-video. Sabi ko, mag-i-expire na yung mga makeup ko kasi wala na akong chance na magamit, di ba? So, I try to avoid withdrawal. I just make myself look good, even at home, just so I will feel good. And this withdrawal can make you non-productive because you're already sorry for yourself. You don't want to move. You don't want to do anything anymore. And this is now a vicious cycle. Not moving anymore will actually make you not move, more depressed, and so on and so forth. And the last effect actually, which actually I think is really true, is that it shortens the lifespan of a person. When you're sitting most of the time, it shortens your lifespan. Because of less socialization, there is disinterest. And disinterest have shown that it can cause depression. And studies have shown that those who are depressed have lesser survival rate. So why? When you're depressed, that's a tendency when you do your suicidal tendencies, right? You want to die. You feel unloved. You feel so sad. So you always, that's why your survival rate is lower. So it shortens your lifespan. How many people who die very young, not because of illness, but because of depression? So, as we said, sitting down is just like smoking. In fact, the effects of smoking is almost the same as or equal to the risk, increase in diabetes, increase in cancer, increase in everything, just like smoking. So prolonged sitting is just equal to smoking, which is a vice by itself. So what can we do to prevent all these effects? I'm sure you will tell me about that. The answer is exercise. Then you would tell me, how can I exercise? I'm in front of the computer, I cannot exercise. But mind you, you can do a lot of exercises while you're in front of the computer. Let's do it. You're now sitting down, I'm sure. You're not standing. So you exercise. One is just to stretch. You can stretch it up. You can put it at the back. You just do this. That's an exercise. You're actually exercising and making your bust bigger because the pectoralis becomes big. You're stretching your shoulders like this man is doing. See, that's very easy. That is just the beginning. That is just a warm up. You can even lean on your chair and put your hands at the back of the chair just so your spine will be erect and you will avoid that poor posture. Okay? Exercise your neck because, as we said, prolonged sitting can actually cause upper back pain. And most of you actually complains one way or the other, heaviness or pamimigat or discomfort in the upper back. And these exercises actually can relieve you, just stretching. So what are the movements of your neck? One is bowing down. That is what we call flexion. Just bowing down is not, don't do this, you will become dizzy. When you bow down, Put your hand here and then press it further until you can feel the stretch in the back, and hold it, and then you go straight first before you actually extend your neck, looking up the ceiling. Now you do it and check yourself. Normally, if you don't have any pain or no limitation of motion, when you look up the ceiling, your face should be parallel to the ceiling. But most of you, mind you, you're looking up, but it's only the eyes actually. The neck is not moving. It has to be that the neck should be moved. The face should be parallel to the ceiling. Okay? That is the normal. And then when you turn your neck or your head towards the left side, for example, do not let your shoulder move like this. Just steady, let the neck move like that, and then push a little, because ideally this chin should be closer to your left shoulder. If you turn to the right, your chin should be closer to your right shoulder as well. But trick movement, we call it, can be done by turning there and making your shoulder move like that. But that is not the actual thing that you're doing. It should not be that. And ideally, the next movement is actually lateral. What these two people are doing, moving it to the left, holding it back, and feel the stretch. Don't just do this. That's not it. Just move and then stretch. So even if you do that only for about 8 seconds and then straighten it up, go to the other side, stretch, hold, straight. And then you do that 5 times. So those are the things that you can do while sitting down. Aside that, for the back, upper back and the neck. How about your lower extremities? All you can do is just extend your knee under the table. Extend your knee. Rotate your foot. Or do like this. Or you can do what you call the cuatro. Putting the... Can we put the camera down? Okay, yeah. Makita ba? Yeah. Never mind. Anyway, the cuatro, and then you push. You push your knee down. So you will be stretching your inguinal area. Now, look at this. Sitting down, just tiptoeing, and then putting your ankle. Those are ankle pumps, we call it. You're improving your circulation, and you're actually preventing swelling of your feet. The next picture actually is tricep desk dips. Meaning to say, making use of the equipment in your office or at home, you can do these exercises. You know what this thing is doing? It's strengthening your muscles of your legs as well as your arm. Okay? So those are the things that you can do while sitting down. You can even, this one is what I call the cuatro, like this, the first picture here, see? Then you push this one down, it would stretch your inguinal area. Then, even just from sitting to standing, sitting and standing is an exercise by itself. It will actually strengthen your thigh muscles as well as your back muscles here, back muscles of your thigh. When you stand up, you can do this. Take note, especially those who are already elderly. Hold on to something so that you will not fall. Instead of taking the elevator, if there's a stair, just go up the stairs slowly. You can stop in between, but you can use the stairs up and down instead of using the elevator. These are some of the exercises when you're standing. This is what we call the wall push-up. You see, while working, he's doing and stretching the quadriceps muscles. See? You can do it. Actually, use your imagination. You can do anything, especially when you're at home, because nobody cares. Your boss will not care. Your colleagues will not say, what are you doing? Nobody would tell you that. So you can do anything, just use your imagination. You can do exercises while you're at home. You can even, these are some trunk activities, twisting, flexibility exercises, we call it. This one actually is, well, even by marching, you don't have to follow this gym enthusiast. All you have to do is actually, even just by marching, here, hold on to the chair. This is what we call the trunk exercises here, just by stretching, standing, and then just stretching like that. Or in front of the Xerox machine or whatever, you just do march in place. Marching in place is already one good exercises of lowering your or improving the circulation as well as causing your muscles to actually contract. This one is what we call a stretch. You're stretching the hamstring as well as your tendon of Achilles. And you know, when you have tightness here, the hamstring, you cannot do straight leg raising. You cannot do that. It would be very painful for you. So you can do this, but when you do stretching exercises, it's not like a spring. You have to stretch, hold it, hold the position, and then relax. That is how it should be done. Okay. You can do the extremes actually. If you're a yoga enthusiast, you can do your yoga on top of your table, or even this. If you're such a flexible person, you can do that. See, you can do anything. As I said, just use your imagination. But what is important is your safety. Like, I don't want you to do this because this chair can be unstable. If you can push this too much, you can fall. And an injury to this, especially for an older woman, for example, you might develop fracture of your spine or fracture of the hip. Doing this, if the table is very stable, is good enough. But what if there are wheels in here and you can push it inadvertently? What happens? You will have your head bang against the table, then you will slide. You might even break your ribs. So safety is still very important when you do these exercises. As I said, use your head, but be safe, okay? But we all know that prevention is much better than cure. So how do we prevent all these pains and everything? The only way is to do ergonomics or proper. So these are just the tips that I would like you to do. When you're sitting down, use a chair with a backrest. Okay? This is the proper sitting position. Your back should be against the backrest. If you have a stool, put your feet up on the stool and then do your exercises there. Okay? Like driving in a car. This is not the proper way. The proper way is that this seat should be straight. Your back should be against that. You are close, put your seat close to the steering wheel so you don't have to reach out for your gas pedals or your brakes. Don't slouch, sit properly. And when standing, see, do not stand on both feet for a long time. Rest one foot alternately with the other. Ako noon, nung estudyante pa ako, when I assisted in the operating room, di ba, matagal ang operation, there's a stool always there. And I thought that stool was for me to go up onto para maabot ko yung operating table. Hindi pala yun. That was for the surgeon to rest one foot at a time for a long operation. Proper carrying of things. Picking up. This is the proper way. This is not how to do it. And this is how to carry it. Okay? So these are just the tips. There will be more actually if we'll be talking about low back pain some other time, if I can be invited again some other time. Okay? So these are just the tips of how you can prevent all those pains. Exercise, move, and of course, stop stressing. And you have to start living. You have to accept that there's a new norm that we have to follow, and this will be for another year, probably and a half. So we just have to do what we can. And I would like to thank you for this opportunity to be with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much as well, Ms. Dr. Dy-Mancao, for that very informative and interactive presentation. So, sabi ni Doktora, stop stressing but start living. So, I'm sure that our participants have questions already in their mind, so for later. But before that, we would like to remind everyone to please feel free to write your question for Dr. Mancao in in our chat box in Zoom and comment box in Facebook. But before we proceed to our next part of our program, let's have just a short break. And we would like to take this time to share an audio and video presentation of the YWCA movement and its advocacy to create safe space for women. Let's watch this.
Sino siya? Sino?
As part of a movement with more than 150 years of experience working directly with women and girls, the YWCA movement aligned its program and activities along with the World YWCA strategic goals to ensure that women, young women, and girls are at the center of their own empowerment and that no one was left behind. For the past 150 years, YWCAs around the world have expanded safe spaces to reach over 25 million women, young women, and girls in 120 countries. Providing safe spaces to women and girls in the heart of local communities has been a core activity for the Young Women's Christian Association since its founding in 1855 in London and 1926 in the Philippines. The YWCA is also committed to programs on social and economic justice through action and advocacy and service delivery. What makes the YWCA unique is that our program and services are combined with our advocacy to create impact to women, young women, and girls' lives and generate institutional change. The YWCA of the Philippines headquarters is very visible and accessible. It is located in the heart of Metro Manila and it provides shelter to affected women, young women, and girls in an emergency situation and critical times where safety and privacy are assured. Leadership and participation. The YWCA is committed to empower women, young women, and girls by providing trainings, seminar, and the like to fully equip them in decision-making and bring positive changes in the community. Leadership development and participation opportunities will provide them a chance to equip themselves essential skills and positive transformation. Accurate and reliable information. Young women and girls trust the association because of reliable data and information that they can acknowledge and agree on. Reliability is considered as one of the good assets of the association, especially in disseminating information that are verified and true from trusted resources to protect women and young women to be a victim of violence in a virtual setting.
What's very important for Christians to understand is it's not a question of you not praying or not praying enough. This is an actual sickness, and I want you to understand that you are not being punished by God.
We are here to preserve the life of people. Yung mga tao nilipares, yung mga tao may sakit. So, alam niyo po, kapag nagbigay tayo ng hope, mas humahaba ang buhay ng taong may sakit. Mas lalo silang gumagaling. Hindi because of the medication. It's because of the hope, the love that we are giving sa mga taong may sakit.
Wala pa po talagang nag-drugs na gumanda ang buhay. So bakit ka magagamit? Learn from that lesson. And if you want your future to become brighter, say no to sand, smoking, alcohol, and drugs. But just say no.
Building trust. YWCA is open for every woman, young women, and girls to fulfill the association's goal to develop women as a leader and members in body, mind, and spirit. YWCA have been initiating programs and activities to help boost self-esteem with physical, social, intellectual, moral, and spiritual well-being of women and girls in accordance with the Christian ideals. Furthermore, to build the confidence of members, any sensitive cases or information are confidential in the association. Holistic approach.
YWCA have been providing support to women, young women, and girls not just on mental, social, physical, emotional, but most especially their spiritual well-being. The organization is also integrating Christian values in all its programs and activities, and one of this is Bible class for young children. It has created a huge impact in supporting leaders and members to engage in selfless Christian service through sharing of knowledge and wisdom to educate and develop more responsible young people. Intergenerational cooperation. National YWCA prepare and develop women-by seminars, conferences, and meetings for decision-making for responsible participation in all aspects of social, economic, political, and spiritual life, and this is to build and strengthen the institutional capacity of the movement. In line with the World YWCA, the National YWCA have policy making vested on 17 members with 25% young women in National Council headed by the President. Dignity and respect. YWCA provides opportunities to young women leaders to involve and participate in local and international trainings, conventions, and conferences to develop their knowledge and strengthen their leadership skills. Partnership and accountability. The National YWCA is linked with 100 countries around the world through World YWCA, whose headquarters is in Geneva, Switzerland. YWCA have partnership with other organizations like YMCA, GSP, BSP, NCWP, Renewable Energy Coalition, PhilCADSA, DepEd, and FAO Philippines, to name a few. This is to extend the scope of the mission and vision of the organization to achieve with the same goals.
And I hope everyone find the video presentation interesting on how the YWCA has been moving forward in creating safe spaces to the community. And now, moving on to our open forum, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our moderator for this afternoon. She was the project officer for the UN Escape project. This is a preliminary for the Beijing Women's Conference. She was an author for Diwa Scholastic Press Incorporated. She was also over 20 years of experience working with children from birth to 12 years of age and their families. She is currently a peer counselor of Amara Counseling and Training Center, specializing in adolescent, young adults, and uh, geriatric depression and anxiety. She also counsels other problems of daily living, like interpersonal conflicts, developmental crises, stress management, and other issues. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Miss Marcia Hussein Obikamo.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Deboton. On behalf of the National YWCA, we would like to open the floor to your questions. The first question comes from Leanne Lemicag of Ilocos Training and Regional Medical Center. What are the disadvantages of sitting too much? I think this has been addressed already, but perhaps Dr. Mancao can give an abbreviated version.
Sorry, of what? Over what?
What are the disadvantages of sitting too much?
Sleeping too much. Okay. Sleeping too much.
Sitting, ma'am. Sitting.
Sitting too much. Disadvantages of sitting too much?
Yes, ma'am.
I thought I mentioned already the 9 to 10 effects of prolonged sitting. Those are the effects. Those are the disadvantages that you will have if you will sit for a long period of time. Wait. Right. Yeah, there's one question actually that I saw. I would like to answer this because this is a disabled person, I guess. Yes, she was asking about, I'm wearing a brace and what exercise can I do? I would like to ask that person to clarify what kind of brace is she wearing or he is wearing, or why is he or she wearing a brace? Before I could answer that question, okay?
Okay, ma'am. Right now, we have another question from Jessica de Baton. Is massage or therapy also recommended to ease back pain?
Well, there is such a thing as proper massage, tamang masahe. Don't just go to a masseur because he's good at massage. You know, massage is a therapy by itself. A good massage or a therapeutic massage is that relaxes your muscles. It does not cause problems. Because improper massage can actually cause more problems. It can block the circulation. It can actually cause more muscle spasm. And at the end, it can cause more pain. So yes, if massage is done properly, it can be therapeutic. Yes.
No. All right, ma'am. Thank you very much for that. From Mrs. Remedios Bicomong, she would like to know what effect does prolonged sitting have on children now that they are doing online learning?
Number one, I think, is eye strain will be number one. Eye strain is very bad. Secondly, actually, is that the posture. These young children may develop scoliosis because of poor posture in sitting down. That would be one of those. Aside from probably later on in life, they might have some carpal tunnel because of the use of the mouse, the computer. And there would be like what Dr. Rasha Soko was asking about, commenting about her fingers becoming stiffer because of the use of the computer or the digital equipment, electronic equipments that they are using right now. High-tech.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that I think the effect, the biggest effect that I could see is that these children will become more lazy. They will not exercise. They would rather sit down, play with their computers, rather than actually going up and down the stairs or exercising or walking around. Number two is that they will be disobedient. They will not be listening to you anymore. You cannot ask them to do something for you because the reason is, I am in class. I am in front of my computer. I have my classes. So there you are. Very good reason, diba? So this might be the children that we will have in the future.
Oh dear.
Wait,
ma'am, yes, the PWD
the one who answered.
Yes, yeah. She says she has polio.
Yeah. Now with polio, kasi your muscles are already exhausted. So it's only your leg. It depends upon is it the two legs that are affected or only one leg. Which part? Because polio is not actually the whole body that is affected, only a portion. So if you have polio, does it affect both legs? Because if it only affects one leg, then you can exercise the other one, which you need badly to support the other. And you have to exercise for your upper extremities and your chest because you need that for when you're walking with either braces, with crutches or even if you are going to use your wheelchair, to man your wheelchair by yourself. Those are the exercises for the upper extremities, as well as the normal leg, if there is such thing. For the leg which has a brace, somebody has to do the exercise for you. That is what we call passive exercises. You just have to let somebody move it for you, because it is the muscles cannot move it by yourself already.
Ma'am, from Miss Lina Watko, how does drinking a lot of water help while in a sitting position?
Sorry. How? Sorry.
How does drinking a lot of water
Uh-huh.
help in a sitting position?
Actually, drinking a lot of water will not help you in sitting position. In fact, it will encourage you to go to the toilet, to stand up and go to the toilet often. That is an exercise by itself. Did you get that? Because you drink a lot of water, you have the tendency to go to the toilet and urinate, right? So just by standing from your sitting position often, that is an exercise by itself. That is how it helps you on having the effect of long sitting. Letting you stand up every now and then.
Yes, ma'am. That is noted. There, Miss Victoria Dineros would also like to ask, are there any chances that the backbone may become dislocated if not sitting properly for too long?
Sorry, if the backbone, I didn't get the word back. If the backbone,
May become dislocated if not sitting properly. May
actually,
become dislocated.
dislocated, no, unless you fall. Unless you fall from the chair, then you might have fracture or dislocation. But just by sitting, you cannot be dislocated. Bones cannot be dislocated just like that.
All right, ma'am. Again, from Mrs. Remedios Bicomong. Is exercising after meals advisable?
No, you have to wait for at least 30 minutes before you exercise. Don't exercise with a full stomach. You might develop cramps.
Okay, ma'am. I think that's all for now. We would like to turn you over to Miss Jessica De Boton.
Right.
Thank you
Thank you
very
so much. Yes, thank you so much, Miss Marcia and Dr. Betty Mancao, for answering and enlightening. Answering all the questions from our participants and enlightening us. It's very practical, actually, the tips that was provided by Doctora. And now, moving on to our next program, the presentation of token and gifts. So, please allow me to read the certificate or the citation rather. Okay, so the Young Women's Christian Association, or YWCA of the Philippines Incorporated, and the National Youth Coordinating Council presents this certificate of appreciation to Dr. Betty Dy-Mancao for her invaluable contribution as a resource person, which led to the success of Y Talk series on Stand Up. Prolonged Sitting is the New Smoking, held on October 21st, 2020, 2 p.m. via Zoom, given this 21st day of October in year of our Lord 2020. So Miss Neri, National Executive Director, also signed by the NYCC President Marla May Baez and the National President Lilia A. Farina. So since Dr. Mancao is here in office, you can see Miss Neri is handing the certificate to Doctora. Thank you so much. All right, can you please unmute Aubrey, can you please unmute Miss Doctora? Yan.
Thank you very much. I have everything here. I'm so happy to be here and to be a member of your group.
Yes, welcome po Dr. Mancao sa YWCA. And now for certificate of appreciation to our moderator. So allow me to read this citation again. So the same text, this is a certificate appreciation to Miss Marcia Suzanne Obi Common for her invaluable contribution as a moderator, which led to a success of Y Talk series on stand-up prolonged sitting is the new smoking, held on October 21st, 2020 at 2 p.m. via Zoom, given this 21st day of October in year of our Lord 2020. So again, this is signed by NYCC President Marla May Baez and the National Executive Director Ms. Nerissa Biliana and the National President Ms. Lilia A. Farina. So Ms. Marcia, thank you for being our moderator this afternoon.
You're very welcome.
And thank you again, ma'am. So now let's move on to next part of our program. Um, to formally close our webinar, let us listen to Ms. Rachel T. De la Cruz, member of Global and Local Affairs Committee.
Good afternoon. We all have heard the phrase health is wealth. And as we advance in years, more and more we realize how true this is. What we heard this afternoon could be something new for most of us because we Filipinos love to sit all the time. We love to conserve our energy and we don't like to sweat. But today we learned how good it is for our body to keep on moving, that we should stand more, walk more, move more. The key to good health is as simple and free as exercise. Will we allow our past habits and vanity to hinder us from experiencing a healthier future? As we close our program this afternoon, I challenge each and everyone who listened to apply what you have learned and to share it to the people you care about so they too can be healthier. Again, in behalf of YWCA Philippines, thank you, Dr. Betty Dy-Mancao, for sharing with us this paradigm shift. And to all those who attended, thank you for your participation and most especially for your application. God bless us all and stay safe.
Right. Thank you so much, Miss Rachel. And before we say goodbye, we please ask everyone to click on the evaluation. It's already posted in the chat feature, chat box in Zoom, and it will be also posted in Facebook comment. And also, I think that's wrap up our afternoon on the Y Talk webinar series. Let's get physical, wires. With today's topic, stand up prolonged sitting is the new smoking. On behalf of YWCA and NYCC, thank you all for making time in your busy schedule to join us. See you again tomorrow. We will have another webinar on the topic state of cybersecurity in the Philippines during COVID-19. Thank you and have a good day. Right. So kung sino pa po nasa Zoom, may we please ask to turn on your camera so that we can have a photo op po.
Photo up daw. Photo up po na. Turn on your camera.
Or
Ano?
just turn on po yung camera then so that we can have picture po.
Ito.
Hindi na camera.
Okay po. Okay na po tayo. So smile po. 2 beses po. Ano? Right. So 1, 2, 3, smile. Ay, wait lang po. Oh. Okay po. Yan po. Ay, si Tara. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. One more pa po. Right. 1, 2, 3, smile. All right. Again, thank you so much po for your time.